Welcome back to another video. Massive win for City, a 4-1 win against Newport County. What are your thoughts on that massive victory in the comments down below? It's a big table turner. We're up to 11th, we're up in the top half now. Less pressure on Hughes after a slow start to the season, but the performance was much better as well. That was a big difference. A team that looked like actually wanting to go ahead and win the game. When we went in front a couple of times, we didn't go and sit back on that lead. We became a bit less pressing and a bit less, gung-ho. I wouldn't say we're ever gung-ho, but, we weren't as front-footed as we were throughout the game. We played more on the counter as the game went on, but that's what I just call professional, being disciplined. Don't sit back too deep. You invite pressure. But then, if you go on the front foot and you go all out for it to go 3, 4, 5, then, you've got more chance of conceding 3, 4, 5 than that. So, really impressed with the performance. I thought, credit where it's due. Mark Hughes definitely deserves that because he's had a tough time of it recently, deservedly. The performances have been terrible. The results, when you win, it all looks a bit better, and I've been saying that it does look better when you win. That's now 6 games unbeaten if you include Wrexham after that defeat to Morecambe, it can only be a positive. But a lot of stalemates in there, a lot of boring games, and a lot of games where there were only one goal in it between either side, and you don't really want to see that. And when you're seeing loads of big scoring games in League 2 going on, you look at us and we're just boring City, just getting through games. It's not pretty to watch, and different styles in all the games as well. But we had Andy Cook in the team. That was a big difference in the performance. But we had a focal point, which I did say we didn't have against Harrogate and Mark Hughes did, and I did agree and sympathise with him through that. And he got an hat-trick. And actually called it on Twitter. I think it was sort of like, I was so surprised that Cook were in the team and Hughes picked him. I was sort of, had that adrenaline of, Cook's in the team, he's going to get an hat-trick, and I just put it out without really thinking, and then he went and got one. And that's some way to mark yourself back into a team and back to a league and say, I'm Andy Cook, who are you? Paul Mullin, go get back in the National League, what are you doing? Losing 5-0 to Stockport. Who are you, David McGoldrick and Macaulay Langstaff? And who's everyone else? I'm the top goal scorer in this division. I'm going to regain that trophy, that medal, and I'm going to show you who's boss. I am Andy Cook. I thought the wingers were outstanding, particularly Tulloch, but Odra played his part as well. Just forcing those wing-backs and full-backs back for Newport. Going at them one-on-one, getting Halliday and Rideout to overlap, which I wasn't really expecting from Rideout, who I'll get onto in the player ratings, quite impressed with him. But they were cutting inside, but they were forcing the full-backs back. And I think that Newport should have, especially when they were defending against our wingers, they should have pressed onto us a bit more, because like I said, they just invited that pressure. But, you cause your own luck, and, just kept putting them back, getting it on the left, onto the right, got a few crosses into a box, and Andy Cook saw he's going to be a threat. We massively outnumbered them aerially, and I didn't expect that, because Newport were a very well-drilled side, who were very good in the air. Andy Cook did give us a completely different dimension with that, but yeah, I can't really remember too many instances in the game where I thought, yeah, they've had us there in the air, and that's a big positive. Words to describe Kevin McDonald are just simply levels above. That performance was, you don't deserve to be playing in League 2. We know why he is. He's coming towards the end of his career. He's a bit slow for other leagues, but he just had the game by the scruff of its neck. He just controlled every single part of it and played it his own game. He was a Rolls Royce. And Gilead wasn't too bad either, to be honest with you. But on the midfield, the best part about it was, with Tulloch, Walker, Gilead mainly, and Rideout and Halliday pushing up as wing-backs, you had all these players are surging forward, and Newport didn't know how to stop it. They didn't know what to do when all these players were running at them. You've ended up with 5-6 players in the box when all season we've only had, last game we had no one in the box because the folk were always coming to the ride. Cook was attracting different players to him, which then meant Walker had a different bit of space in the box as well to get chance. Definitely the best performance under Mark Hughes. Can't think of a better one. Yeah, not much more to say. I think I've pretty much covered it all. Really solid at the back. When we got the ball, got players into the area, that created so many chances and concerns for Newport's defenders, and Andy Cook got his goals from putting crosses into a box. The wingers were putting pressure on them, forcing them back. That created more space, and McDonald absolutely controlled the game. So we'll get into player ratings with that then, with Harry Lewis getting a 4. Goal, I don't think it was fault. I think it was just a really good goal from Omar Bogle, really well took as well. His distribution was really good, and that, they only had one shot on target. Brad Halliday gets a 4. He was fantastic down that side. Nothing really got past him. Overlapped, created loads of space for Odrab in doing so. Put a couple of good crosses in as well, and you just know what you're going to get with Halliday. Matty Platform looked a bit more shaky out the two than Stubbs. That's why I'm a bit more, Stubbs deserves more than Platt. But yeah, it was still okay, but Matty Platt still didn't really put a foot wrong. And then Sam Stubbs is the first man of the match contender so far. He was a brick wall. He was colossal. He was unbelievable. I can't imagine. I can't remember a player getting past him. I've been critical of him so far this season. Bring that back to with the leadership and the captain's armband that brings upon him. He was outstanding. Liam Iredale gets a 4. Massive improvement. I'm not his biggest fan, and rightly so. With how poor he's been terrifyingly bad. I mean, just generally, you leave your game wondering how has he managed to be a footballer. He's got no abilities and no attributes to bring to a game. But aside from criticising from all round, today was very good. Like I say, I think there was a penalty incident, and I'm pretty sure it was him where he pulled someone down. No, another day that could have been a penalty. But aside from that, and aside from all these critics that I've got, and maybe that's why I'm putting him up to a 4. He got the assist for the goal for Cook, really good crossing, overlapped, and give the defenders something to think about in regards to that. And he just looked a bit more on it. He looked a bit sharper. He looked a bit more, like I say, he was just up for it. When you've got Richards who's took to a team pretty well, he's got to say, well, this is my chance to get my place back in the team. I think that competition definitely suits him. Odra gets a 4, of course. He was very good. Second half not as good. That's why he came off. But first half, I thought there were a couple of instances where he cut inside and not left, and I just thought you just need to pass it a bit more, because if he just clipped a crossing, or I just felt like he just took a touch too many, and that just stopped him from potentially making it 5 or 6 1 in that game, because he got into some really good areas where I just think if he were a bit less greedy or took a shot, maybe it could have worked out a bit better for him. But in terms of getting into those areas, putting pressure on his man, I think it was Lewis down that side, he had him most times out of 10. So really pleased with Odra's performance, and there are a lot of criticism heading Hughes' way for dropping Poynton in that game. I didn't see the need for that. I thought it was an average performance against Harrogate, and I wouldn't have started him anyway. Apologies for not doing my preview, but I wouldn't have started him if I were the manager, because you've got to protect your young players. I know he's a fan favourite. He's my favourite player. I love him. He's just, every time he gets the ball, you get out your seat and you think something's going to happen, and he's one of your own. But you've got to take that aside and say, right, well, we've got to protect him. We can't expose him to too much football if he gets ahead of himself, and I don't think he will, but it's just about keeping him grounded, keep fighting for that place in the team, and keep earning your place, because he definitely deserves it. But just take him aside a bit, give him a couple of games off, and keep him hungry and sharper than ever. So next time he comes in with another good spell. But yeah, I agreed with Hughes on that decision. Moving on into Gilead, who gets a 4. Really impressed with him. Great energy, great tenacity to midfield. Like I say, a big part in those midfield surges, broke into a box and give us another option to put crosses in, and that were massively important. So yeah, really pleased with Gilead's performance. Some really good tackles, and covered for McDonald's lack of pace really well, and like I said, have complemented each other well. Now McDonald gets a 5. I can't remember the last time I give a 5. I don't know if it's the first time I give a 5, but he definitely deserves it. The pass for Tulloch's goal, if you watched that on Match of the Day, you'd have no complaints of seeing that pass. You couldn't get more precise, just putting it on a plate for him. And, it went into a corridor of uncertainty as well. It could have been an own goal, but he definitely deserves that assist. And all the plaudits for the performance as well. Broke up play, played at his own pace, took the ball off the back too really well. I thought Small did it pretty well against Harrogate, but he did it to another level. And he was so composed, so assured, picked his passes well. And if he needed to kick out for a throw, he did. He wasn't concerned about doing that. He's got that experience. Oh, I can't give a man a match when Cook got free, can I? Oh, I don't know. That one's up for you. Player ratings. Unfortunately, I forgot to do them against Harrogate. And I was going to put them up Wednesday when I figured out that I didn't do them. And I thought, well, that's a bit late. So I apologise for that. They will be up. Let me know yours. 1 being the worst, 3 being the average, 5 being the best. I don't think we're going to get many less than 3 this week. But yeah, that's a tough one. Let me know your man a match. Tulloch gets a 4 as skillful, very direct, very pacey, lightning quick. The defenders just didn't know what struck them when he were running at them, and give us a completely different dimension to what we've had throughout the season so far. If he can kick on, that's the big thing with wing. Jamie Walker gets a 4 as well. Really impressive him. Recently he has gone up a level. He started the season well. 3 or 4 games were off it a bit, maybe an injury, something like that. He talked about playing through the pain barrier for Mark Hughes or something in the TNA in the week. But really impressive performance, and on the ball, created a lot of chances. And like I say, he was in that box supporting Andy Cook a lot of the time, and that's very important if you're an attacking midfielder like Jamie Walker. It's not like a Callum Cook, when you look at his predecessor in that role, where it's more about playing key passes, playing it in the right areas and getting your assist count up. Whereas Jamie Walker, he ain't that type of player, so it's very important that he breaks into a box and he gets his goals, and he didn't get one today, but if he keeps playing alongside Cook in that way, playing very tight to him, he will get goals. Andy Cook gets a 5. Again, 2 5s in one game. That shows how fantastic we were. I'm an overthinker. I plan ahead, and I could just see him getting injured, but he didn't, thankfully. But he did pull up in the first few minutes, and I thought, oh, Jesus, no. And I thought it was naive to put him into starting lineup ahead of a Smith, and I'd have brought him on for maybe half an hour instead of playing him 90 minutes. But obviously, he was assured that he could play 90 minutes, and he didn't get an injury. But I did think it was naive, because when you look at a manager and a player, you look at Pep, he brings Haaland off a lot of the time, and he makes it clear that no player's bigger than the manager, no player's bigger than the club, and it doesn't matter if he's in a stop because he's nearly getting an hat-trick. You're playing for the badge and for the fans and for the team, and it's pivotal that you stay fit, because you're the most important player to the system, to the club, to the fan base. Keeps us connected when you've got a player like Andy Cook starting, scoring goals every week. And we've seen how much we missed him. So if he got injured, which he didn't, but I thought he might have, and if he did, then we'd be asking the questions. So I think it's right to be, don't just ask it when it's happened, ask it, when it could have happened, because it's important to look at that and say, right, well, he must have been very assured that he wasn't carrying much of an injury. But for me, I thought it was a big risk, because if he's then out for another month, we're missing our main talisman for a lot of games, and that was a big move. But maybe it's something very little, but I thought, that he should have been coming off, no matter how of a key moment it was in the game to keep him on, because if we concede, and I know he's made mistakes doing those subs before, like Carlisle, but that were different circumstances. With it just being pulled back to 2-2, we've got a commanding lead, where if you bring Smith on, he can still stretch the defence. You signed Smith, show some trust in him, give him a bit of confidence. So I thought that was a bit of naivety from Hughes, and to say he's an experienced manager, I wouldn't expect that. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments down below. What your thoughts on Cook, Hughes, your player ratings, and everything in between as well. McDonald had a superb game. Let me know your thoughts, because that was a delight to watch, and that's the first time I've said that in years. Credit to the 400 who went, fantastic support again, showing why we're completely different to any other fan base in the country. If you've got a friend who supports one of the big 6, tell him you're an idiot. Get down to Valley Parade on Tuesday. You'll love it. And if you've got someone else as well who's not familiar with the Football League, get them down. £5. Great gesture by the club. If they're a bit snobby in terms of football, just say, come on, this is where football starts. This is nitty gritty. And once you watch us, you'll quickly want to walk away. Like the Reef did, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for all the support recently. It's massively appreciated. A big win for City. How far can it continue? Can we keep an unbeaten one going? And when we come back to Valley Parade next Saturday, can we extend our 11 or 12 games unbeaten at Valley Parade and make it 13? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.